Hi, I'm Kylie and welcome to this week's episode of Money, 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 where we cut out the jargon and talk about all things financial. Hi, and welcome back to Money, Money, Money. Today we're going to be looking at what is a financial plan. And to help me explain that, I have with me Mark Woods from Neo Financial Solutions. And Mark's going to try and unravel some of the mysteries of financial planning to us. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks very much.
So firstly, what is a financial plan?
Well, a financial plan can really be described in its simplest form as a document, like a map, a guide, for a client to reach their goals and objectives, or their financial goals and objectives. It could be very, very different objectives between clients, but it's basically a roadmap of getting from A to B. And it has to be documented, but it's really just assessing what a client wants, where they want to go, how they want to achieve that, and the planner's job is to really provide the details of that map and the vehicle to get them there. That's really what it is in simplest form.
I love that description. That is an easy, jargon-free description of what is it. So now, why should I get one?
Well, it's like anything else. If you want to take a holiday, you need to plan where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, what's it going to cost, the things that you'll need along the way to achieve that journey, and eventually even the car that you're going to get in to drive to that holiday destination. And really a plan is that. By you telling the advisor or planner, this is what I want, this is where I want to get at the end, they can set up a map to help you get there, to put some strategies into place to protect the risk, because there's always a risk when you're doing something. Always. Especially when you're taking a holiday. The risk of speeding, the risk of running out of money, fuel, accommodation, and it's the same with a plan. Do I need some insurance? Do I need to save some money in this area? Do I need to save some money in that area?
Yeah.
How to clear your debt? Those sorts of things are very important when you're putting together a plan.
Okay.
And that's why people need one.
So what's the difference between a financial plan and a statement of advice?
Well, simply, a statement of advice is the legal term that the government has put around that plan. So Corporations Act define a plan as a statement of advice. That's how it's explained in the legislation. So really, it's just a statement to the client at a point in time, outlining the advice that they've been provided and the context around that advice. What was it pertaining to? Their assets, their liabilities, their requirements for insurance and superannuation, and those concepts. And even estate planning, what to do when people pass away, the next generation, those sorts of things. So we term it as a statement of advice. It's our industry jargon, so to speak.
Okay, so a statement of advice is the same thing as a financial plan?
Basically, it's exactly the same thing.
Okay, well that makes it easy, because you hear those two terms bandied around a lot, and I've often wondered what's the difference between them.
And I think most of the time it's the person that you're dealing with. I think for clients, the individuals that are coming to get the advice, a plan is probably more encompassing for what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But within our industry, the way we talk to one another, it's called a statement of advice.
Okay.
So
that leads me to, how do I choose a great financial planner?
Okay, like every industry, there are really good planners and there are planners that maybe not so good. And so the best way to do that is, first off, there are a number of methods that you can look. There's websites, there's the Financial Advisor website, and that is actually driven by the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, or ASIC as people call them. And that lists all the financial advisors in Australia are registered on that register. And you can see from that their education, their background, their history, where they've been, who they've worked under, who's licensed them, and if they've had any disqualifications or what they call banning orders, where they're not allowed to give advice or they've done something wrong. These are all listed in that register. Other methods are associations. For example, the Financial Planning Association of Australia has a list of advisors who are certified at the highest level and at different levels. The Australian Association of Financial Advisors, the AFA, also has a list of advisors where you can look for a financial advisor and they can provide that information as well.
Okay, and another way would be just to go and visit maybe a couple of
planners. Look in the yellow pages. They advertise white pages, those sorts of things online. Most people these days, let's face it, are computer orientated, so they're
Yep.
always Googling things. So you can Google a financial planner very quickly. But that doesn't mean they're good. So it's really, the first step is to find someone or find a few people to talk to. And then really it's the questions that you need to ask them when you're in front of them to see whether that person is going to provide you with what you need.
And that was my next question. What are the questions I should be asking?
Well, that's really good. So that's important. That's the first stage, I think, that every client needs to do to just for themselves, to know that they're comfortable with the person they're dealing with. Firstly, you'd ask them, are they licensed? They need to be licensed, which is pretty reasonable, and they should have some verification of that, which is quite simple to provide.
They all have to be licensed,
Correct,
don't they? Yep.
they do. So you should always check that they are licensed, not that just say they're licensed, but the documents will tell you if they're licensed or not. And simply, you can go back to the Financial Advisor Register on the ASIC website, and you can verify those details quite quickly.
Yeah.
The other thing to ask them is obviously the qualifications. What qualifies them to talk to you about financial plan or a statement of advice? What gives them that authority? And also, what education background do they have? What have they studied? Are they allowed to provide advice in areas of superannuation or insurance or estate planning or margin lending or as in gearing or anything like that? So they should be able to provide you their qualifications, their areas of expertise,
Yep.
what they do, and what they charge. That should be the questions you should be asking straight away. Are they aligned to any product provider? So the products that you will be introduced to, are they associated with those products? If they're not, that's probably a better scenario than if they are, because look, the government's trying to stop people just recommending products that they're associated with, but then providing a broader range of products and services to the clients.
Okay, so it's really asking the questions and doing some homework
Correct.
yourself, isn't it?
Yes.
And then I've always found it's about finding an advisor that I'm comfortable with. It's great to have one that can do all this, but if they don't actually understand who I am, there's never going to be that engagement together, is there?
That's absolutely correct. So the biggest thing in planning is to find someone that you are comfortable with to work with, because it's a long-term relationship you're trying to build with this planner.
Yeah.
To take you from point A to point B. And if you're not engaged with that person and they're not someone that you can feel comfortable with, you won't tell them the things that they need to know to be able to provide that advice, that quality of advice. So I think, yes, if you've got a good relationship and you feel comfortable with the person you're dealing with, then by all means, that would be a great start.
Okay. Now, final question.
Sure.
There's been a lot of media attention on the future of financial advice and the reforms that are coming, and most specifically with the concept of best interest duty.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because even speaking that to you, I'm struggling to get a grasp of what is it.
You might have recalled there were various inquiries into the financial service system, and the result of that was that these new reforms were introduced. And basically what they mean is that it's the responsibility of the financial advisor or the planner to act in your interest, your best interests. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, what were they doing previously if they weren't acting in my best interest?
Yes.
They were, to a certain degree, but the law only required them to have what they called a reasonable basis for the advice that they were providing to you, which means they probably didn't have to go into as much depth, which as planners, most of us, we want to know the client intimately.
Is that why I have to fill out? I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Reams and reams and reams of paperwork. It's so that you're able to get a better idea of
Correct.
who I am.
The best interest obligation is basically saying that as an advisor, I need to get as much information and knowledge of your circumstances, your objectives, your goals, and I need to understand them intimately. And sometimes the advice I'm giving you, you may feel, well, that's not what I wanted, but from my perspective as a planner, it's in your best interest to follow that advice.
Sure.
So what that means is that if you've already got existing investments that can achieve those goals, then we shouldn't be changing them. We should be leaving them and working with them. And that's what the government's trying to enforce, just stopping clients from seeing an advisor and then the advisor starts, well, we need to change everything that you have and move it to the products that I want you to use.
Yeah.
In all reality, in many instances, it's not necessary, it's not required, and all it does is create an extra tier of costs and fees for a client. So that's what the duty is broadly about, but then it goes into a bit more depth, and it's more important about the engagement of the client and the advisor understanding where the client actually wants to go and actually matching the products that they can recommend or their services to those needs. Instead of just saying, oh, I need to have some insurance, and then we just give you something which might not actually be accurate or might not actually be what you need at that time. And in days gone by, people would just change products willy-nilly, and really the client is actually not moving forward, they're moving backwards because of all these fees and costs changing all the time. So the best interest duty now compels an advisor to consider the existing products the client has before even deciding whether they should move those products as well. So that's basically, in a nutshell, look, it's a very simplified, because the legislation is quite detailed, but in a simplified overview, that's really what it means.
And that's what we like here,
Yeah.
simple. So I think you've helped clear up a lot of things about that. So thank you for that, Mark. I'm sure we're
My
going to have
pleasure.
you back again on Money, 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 and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. See ya.
Thanks for watching Money, Money, Money. If you liked this video, hit the red subscribe button. If you'd like to know more information, you can follow us on Facebook or go to our website, linked in the information box below.